Morning. This is the meeting of the Monmouth Trails Committee. July 12th, 8:02, being scheduled pursuant to a notice that was put on the town website. The proposed agenda was published, circulated that to the committee. I didn't receive any correction to that. One or additions. One thing I did looking at for the minutes, that should be review of minutes of the 6/28 meeting, not 6/12. I think everybody. We don't need to do dispense with the introductions. One item that we may want to consider if we have time under new business is discussion of a potential person to fill in the vacancy for Stan Walker, who resigned so as a result of job duties that sort of we're going to conflict with the meeting. So we can talk about that. First item on the agenda is the review of the minutes. I had a couple of changes, one substantive and one just sort of typo kind of thing. So for the statement of purpose, my understanding of the sort of amended statement was that it should be alternative transportation opportunities, not I think is how we discussed it. So
I was gonna have the same comment on that.
okay. Yeah. So if you could change that,
Add the word alternative in front of transportation.
and then I think might have had auto spell and go to work, but you had in Emily's name a couple of times. First time you had it right, and then a couple of times, then the next two times you had it listed as Emily Beck. So that it should be Emily Brown. And she will be coming here at 8:30.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Okay. Those were it. Two suggested changes. I had any other corrections?
Yeah, the only other thing that I saw was my name in the attendees. You just missed the S on the other.
With those corrections, is there a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, in favor? Right, so the next item was supposed to be Dennis Price, who not here again. He, despite his commitment to me, like I've got it written down, I'm coming.
Maybe he's running late. It's not bad.
Usually late. Before he sleeps in.
Maybe he's not a morning person.
So, apparently not. Okay, so that's, if Dennis comes later, we could talk to him.
Either that or we'll table it.
Yeah.
Come back another time.
Know what else I could do? Maybe give a wake-up call next time.
Actually, the police chief was also gonna come to this meeting. He wasn't sure. I ran into him on Wednesday at the select board meeting.
Is he parked down here in the, is that him? Trying to get
That was him, yeah. Well, I don't know. He's in the parking lot?
No, he was parked down by the fuel.
the public.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe he's got something going on. He was gonna see.
If we go fast enough, we'll follow us.
Yeah. Anyway, he said he was interested in attending. Especially because when we touched on the whole public safety issue on, alternative transportation on a public way. And-
Sort of Dennis interest.
Yeah, so.
I'd like to join
But It could be another time.
Okay, okay. So, maybe, we could look at, before Emily comes, just the maps for the high school and sort of talk about sort of where maybe we want to take her. And Chris, you guys are
Yep.
more familiar with the area back there than me, so it'd be helpful for maybe just go over that before Emily comes.
Yep. All right, so I printed out a few different things. Just so people can have some references. So. Kind of sticky because it's so humid.
Sure. AC cranked at home.
We got heat pumps last year.
Yeah,
It's been really nice.
They love the giant block of ice. They're sad.
I have one of those and pass this right.
Oh, man. You're probably out of heat.
Yeah, I know, it's all kind of, it's all just the same stuff, but well, it's good. It can kind of give
No, it's
us
awesome. Yeah.
bigger scale.
Yeah.
Right.
We're all in the same
tax map,
orientation. Yeah.
I don't know that the parcels are exactly as they are after the RSU purchased things. Maybe things got merged together, but you can kind of see what they were. I have this other email. I don't know if you guys want to see this at all, but this is old. It just talks about the colors on that one picture. So let's start with the one with the colors on it. The map for the green and yellow and red. So this is a trail that I had proposed building at the school a few years ago, and it's kind of what I think we should be looking at now. So on the,
We're shining, sorry.
the orange part is all the way up by the old Cottrell School where it butts up against the road. And then all the way on the far other corner, the green end is the parking lot down by the soccer fields, the high school soccer fields.
The orange is across the street from the old Cottrell School,
Yes, it is.
directly across the street. Okay, it goes straight back.
Yes.
That's still on our property.
Yes.
I did not push up.
No.
Just around that baseball field. I've been looking
I
at
started
that.
down that trail a little bit, but I did not.
But the main thing that I was thinking we would do right now is from the green on one end through the yellow, down to the green on the other end. And that's really it.
Just walk.
Yeah. But that's where we would focus the trail because there's a parking lot on either end, essentially. And it's a nice area. There is wet. You can see at the bottom there, there's like a dashed green circle.
That
That's-
wasn't bad. I
No,
had I was surprised. I was worried about that area. I went right through it. The wet I had was at the beginning of the trail and I did not bush on that because there's no way I could get in there. But
Beginning meaning.
the left-hand side.
Okay.
Yeah, the left-hand green there, where it comes off the parking lot of the ball field. I could not get in there, but
It didn't used to be wet.
I cut in through the woods. I push up the.
this has always had moisture problems. My son Matt had done an Eagle Scout project before the new school.
Yeah.
Sure.
To help dry this out a lot. And that worked great for years until the school was built and kind of
The ground
changed
needed-
everything.
The ground ate all the.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah,
Change.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's really.
So,
Right.
Chris, what did, this green, where does it, so where does this come out? Where does it end?
Where did you go?
So this is by the soccer field.
By the,
Snowmobile trail cuts in.
Okay, right, there's a parking
Went in
lot
and then
right
cut
down
off
there
was here,
At the bottom of
at the
the.
bottom of the hill.
and then did the street.
Okay. So now if you look at one of these aerial photos, if we wanted to do something larger, so you can think of it coming out, the trail coming out here
Yes.
by, like right here.
Parking lot.
Yeah.
Of the ball field. You see where he was pointing?
up here.
Now, if you followed that down around the bottom of the ball fields, so the softball field, if you're looking at it,
Right here.
you're looking at it like this. Which is the way you're. The softball field is in the lower right, the baseball field is in the upper left. So if you went down around the softball field over to the baseball field, then when you hit the back of the, like right behind home plate, that's where the old snowmobile trail started, and it cut through the woods and it headed down towards the town office. That trail is still available. Snowmobile club doesn't use it. It is private land, but it's possible that we could get landowner approval and kind of continue it down to the town office, which would kind of, it'd be pretty close to looping back to the sidewalk. So,
And there's parking.
and there's parking.
That's,
Could be a
I
turnoff.
think that's what I was sort of thinking,
Yeah.
that it would sort of come out onto
Am
32.
am I reading this right, that that would cross two parcels of land, so we would just need two property owners?
Yes. Paul Root bought this land, I believe, and was planning to develop it. But he hasn't done anything with it. I don't hear.
Coffee.
So do you know why the snowmobile trail lost access to that trail?
They didn't lose access to
Did
it.
not, okay.
Paul Root did say that he may take away access if he develops the property, so there was a chance that they would use it. But they don't maintain it because the quick shop doesn't
That was the quick shop.
pay for a business membership to the snowmobile club, so they don't groom a trail there.
That's what that was.
Part of that is because
Okay.
medical center discontinued the trail that came in across their property.
I skied that trail last, like 2 years ago, I skied that trail and it was, like you said, it's still there, it's still available. Do the people a couple doors down to the left, are they the ones that own the first part of the property? The first part of that land? Because the trail used to go up. So originally it went on the high part of that hill above
Yes.
the, so, but you're thinking go down low instead.
I'm thinking if you follow around the ball fields.
Yeah.
Then you just cut in right there. You don't have to go up on the hill.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can access the.
Oh, I got you. It connects to that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Connects down.
So-
Anyway.
So looking at that, if we did that with, where would this mean?
There when I was pushing.
That would come in.
When you ever get the inkling to do this stuff, you just reach out
So
to
then
them.
you
I'm
can
available. I'll help you.
Go around there. And then
Doing that stuff is a ton of fun.
from here, cut down.
I was driving it every time.
Okay.
I could have been inside.
This picture was just for Emily in particular. It has grading of the, it has the topo. So she may be interested in that. It tries to highlight areas that they had identified as being wet areas, but that was in an original design.
Oh, is this
Things
for the
have definitely changed since the school built. Yeah. The result of the school caused water issues in places where they weren't as bad before.
Retention ponds aren't doing their job.
What's that?
The retention ponds aren't doing their job.
No, they just
That would
changed the
put-
whole topography.
Yeah.
They built the school and the fields.
Chris, so what are the distances, this, and then if we added the.
I don't have the distances. There is a scale on this map, so you could try to estimate, but I haven't. I haven't tracked that.
What kind of map? It's not a great section. So we can see this is parcel 41.
So when I push hog 2 days ago, I came in on, I came in on the snowmobile trail, which is down below this map. And I went all the way down the snowmobile trail, all the way out to the water district access, which connects to Main Street. So that's in the woods, all cleaned up, and we can look at that. And then I came back up through and I cut through the woods to a spot to get to this trail, this green trail. So the green trail is bush hogged all the way to the, basically to that corner and then all the way up through to here. And I backed down here a little bit, but I wasn't sure where I was going. I didn't know when I was gonna drop off the property, so I didn't keep going. I didn't know that this trail was still on their property, which is great. And then I came out down here. So this is accessible as well to Main Street, wherever that water district comes out.
So that right of way is only for maintenance.
Okay,
And the landholder, I can remember Dan talking about, they got a little grumpy. They actually have vehicles parked on it right now.
okay, so that was, I think that's the Emery's property.
I've seen.
I think that's the Emery's property. They have the kids at school, they teach it here.
How far down? 132 is that?
So you can,
It's almost.
you can see it on this state's map right here.
So the owner of this smaller strangely shaped parcel that we cross. We would need permission to cleanse. His name Jacob Kendall and Lindsay Allen.
What number is that on this document?
It's parcel number 41 and this is tax map number 28. The address is 30 Academy Road.
Can you hold it?
Backs up to the town office,
Yep.
Right.
that big field.
Yep.
I am.
I know. Doug said earlier that in terms of land owner access. But at least to, secure funding from them, all they need is basically an agreement. They don't need. They need.
Basically a handshake.
It's sort of like, yeah, it doesn't have to have, doesn't have to go in perpetuity or even a fixed number of years, but I think it's just sort of good faith kind of.
We're thinking that this right here is gonna be like our main first start of trail systems in here. This is kind of gonna be like the heart or the center, and we're gonna branch out from there. This is kind of like what we're thinking.
I was thinking that, I don't know, so,
I mean, yeah, I think that's
I think that's sort of what I was,
Thanks for doing all this work.
to use this as sort of a jumping off point,
Mm,
and then sort of we could work off of, I think there's possibilities of working with DOT to try and get some things on 132,
Yeah. Cause I'm just,
like bike lane or something established and then maybe even, in terms of what's around here, looking at sort of Norris Hill and Blue Road to try and get some type of lanes there for walking and working with the town on that. To developing sort of more loops, so this sort of builds off sort of our sidewalk system, and then I think there's some things we could sort of work off of that.
Just-
That's.
I'm just
what I
trying
was
to-
Thinking about?
Yeah,
Cause of my frame of mind, cause as soon as I see this, like, I see it from my perspective as a mountain biker, I'm like, all right. And I start having these ideas, well, we can do this and that, but if we're gonna use the system to start smaller, then I would wanna kind of box in that thinking for now and just do like simple trails or like, how are we looking at this for skiing, hiking and biking as our first go at this? Cause, yeah, stuff like that, cause then when we do the walk, I can start visualizing exactly what the purpose is instead of me kind of being like, oh, we could put a jump here, we could do that. You know, like, I tend to take something and just run until someone's like, slow down, kid.
Emily did ask me like what our sort of, our intended use for this was. I said, we haven't decided. I said, my thinking and sort of I think what, the temperature was it to try to get something that's sort of multi-use and as accessible to, broad range of people in terms of abilities, so.
what's the elevation change on that?
Well, there is a significant elevation change. There's not a high grade anyplace. 'Cause if you look here, that's at the bottom of the parking lot.
Right.
That's quite a
Right,
climb
and
up
this
to
is
the
all the
hill.
way to the top of the hill.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a pretty gradual
Cool.
thing all the way. I would think that something like this should be primarily pedestrian use.
Yeah.
If bike use, low speed, bike use, it's not intended for,
Downhill.
right.
I completely agree, like, it starts
This-
slow. and-
This would be kind of a start of pretty accessible trails. And then once we get beyond that, I think we'd be looking at less accessible trails that have more specific purposes.
How about horses?
Yeah, I don't know.
Cause there's, a stable up here and I know Catherine Ludwig is thinking about horses.
That connected orange trail would be great.
She's got a parcel that's
Yeah.
over here somewhere in respect to that.
Across.
She did, and she's thinking about putting trails in and allowing public access. So,
So I think that's.
See a lot of trails there already.
is that the one?
I think that's the one that butts right up against the school.
Yes,
Yes.
so it's 20-foot road walk for the horse to get. to her
Yeah, that's
property.
right.
Where does it go in? At the right side? Goes in on the right side of her property when you're looking at it. So you
Yeah.
gotta go across her property and then in.
So I think it's this.
So this
right
parcel
there.
here?
Yeah.
And does that come all the way down?
I don't think it does.
Oh, it stops right
I
here?
think, yeah.
There's quite a system of trails back in the woods between there and 202.
Huh. Well, that would be an interesting,
And this whole stretch is on RSU two properties. So we're going to be somewhat constrained by what they would allow. We can ask.
oh, I see, yeah.
Like right now, they say no dogs on the property. So does that mean people can't walk their dogs? So.
No, it doesn't mean that.
Well, I know.
Couple of things came up at the select board meeting, right? I mentioned that we were having this meeting today and the chair of
Was that who it
the
was? I
school
couldn't,
board.
I heard her talking, but I didn't know who it was.
It was Donna Seppi, was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, hello, we've had conversations about this, like, we were interested in
Yeah.
making trails on RSU property and she's like, well, you need to ask the school board and it needs to be an official vote and we've got stuff to.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. I mean,
in the
it's
system.
just really unfortunate that she immediately went to, oh my God, it's out of control, instead of,
I had talked to last fall, so I talked to Rick
yeah, me too.
And-
I talked to both of them.
and the,
last fall.
their sort of grounds person,
Yeah,
and they were both very open.
sure.
to-
Gordon's gone.
So,
And all
So-
of this stuff I had talked about with Gordon.
I had gotten permission.
Yeah.
I had gotten permission to upgrade what's already on.
So we'll need
Those
to,
guys
you
as
know,
well.
we'll need to make an official request.
Yeah.
And I think we should put, you know, as much of our wish list as we want in that request, and then let them explain to us why they've got concerns if there are any. But it seems to me like no dogs would be an unfortunate requirement, and no horses would be an unfortunate requirement. And we'll have to, you know, we'll press on that.
So the conversation I had about those trails was, you know, the trails exist, I wanted to improve them, and I got permission from the grounds guys and the administration to do that. And it's those trails, but I think maybe because it's on the radar of this committee now to work on those, now it's a committee to, you know, the board is like, wait a minute, maybe it's just scaling up. It's still the same system that we were talking about, though. It's exactly the same system. So I think it's easy to work with. And the no dog sign, I believe, is an RSU2 policy. And there's pets at soccer games and baseball games all the time. So
So it's not really enforced.
nobody agrees to enforce it.
Right.
Nobody wants to enforce
Nobody wants to enforce it.
This be recorded.
No one wants to be the person to enforce it.
And it's there in case something happens. You know, so
Sure.
that-
And maybe that's where we end up, right?
I know.
They say no dogs, and then we say, okay.
Horses ride on this trail already. Horses ride on this trail already. I've seen the
Yeah.
prints.
Sounds like there's gonna be some
Within the
education going
year,
on
I've seen the
outside
prints down
people.
there.
Being like, hey, this is
Unless
how
there
the
was a
culture is.
wild horse that got out.
The Winthrop Trail, I don't know if that's on school property, so certainly it abuts, you know, the high school, and you park in the high school lot, and there are dogs allowed on the trail.
Right.
And there's a lot of dog walkers. I mean, that's one of the more popular.
Well,
that's
and the
used.
thing is, you know, if you specifically allow dogs, then you have a much better chance of leveraging responsible dog owner walking, right? Where people clean up after themselves, the dog's on a leash. People aren't afraid because there's a dog running loose. I mean, sometimes people get, you know, because if you don't allow dogs, if you're specifically prohibit dogs, people are gonna go there with dogs and they're not gonna have any sort of skin in the game. Right? So they're gonna be, you're not gonna get the most responsible dog owners walking their dogs out there. You'll get the people who are militant dog owners who are just like, stop me. Right?
Bongs are outlawed, only outlaws will have bongs, right?
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of how it goes. I mean, this is, you know, the reality of humanity. Like, if you say no, then 95% of the people who will do the right thing won't show up. And the other 5% are gonna be the people who are doing it wrong. They know they're doing it wrong. They're gonna do it wrong anyway.
Would you work with Public Works and put in the collection station and bag dispensers?
Well, this is,
Trailheads?
it doesn't, yes and no. I think it would be super helpful if we could figure out a way to maintain the trails with some sort of stewardship thing that involves volunteers. Maybe it's just people who are out for a walk that day anyway. We do have now TIF funding available for signage and the appropriate equipment and that sort of thing. So I think we ought to look at that as sort of what's the most effective way of getting stuff done without spending a whole lot of money. And if there's a significant capital investment up front where we need to put up signs, set up the rules, you know, post all of that, make it super clear, then,
Down the
okay,
road.
that would be certainly within the purview of our TIF fund. But in terms of maintenance costs, I think it would be a much easier sell if we said, oh, we're gonna have, you
Good.
know,
How you
a
doing?
small group of volunteers
Are you here?
sort of be the security people or the enforcement people.
Okay, so let's do the start.
Once a season, someone wants to move in.
I would add that in terms of, if we're looking at grants from the state, they would require that we maintain, the town maintains it, so.
Yeah.
We should have a plan
We need that.
for that before.
Yeah, I mean, what's the nonprofit land group, Kennebec?
Kennebec Land Trust? Yeah.
Kennebec Land Trust does a pretty decent job of having trail stewards on their properties, right? And it's not that big a deal. It's not a huge amount of responsibility. It's people who wanted to go for a walk anyway. And now they're there just to sort of be the eyes and ears of.
I'd be happy to, put my name out there for someone. If you need a steward, I'd be happy to go
Yeah.
take walks and
Write
do
that
that.
down on the note.
See?
Write that down.
Yeah.
David will take care of all the trails. I think I just heard that.
Get volunteer help from the school. I think I can get
Maybe
kids.
want to mimic something we do from the Connewagon Trailblazers, we have adopt a trail.
Yeah.
So people take on responsibilities for certain sections and they're the stewards for those sections, so they don't feel overwhelmed by the vast amount of trails, so if someone's, okay, well, that's in my backyard, or that's part of the trail that's near and dear to my heart, I'll take care of that with my family or my friend or whoever. Maybe assign 2 or 3 people depending upon the geographic difficulties. There might be bridges involved, it might be just straightforward, but that adopt a trail concept works really good.
Somebody's working on the trails this morning, I noticed.
Really? So one of our guys?
Yeah, there's a covered trailer opened up down on my road. So I assume they were out there with a 4-wheeler somewhere on the trails. I was surprised.
John Johnson.
That was my guess, but it's his house, so he shouldn't have moved his trailer to down the road 100 yards, but he might have.
Would you be willing to pull up a chair and just take a look at some of the maps that we're looking at? Because part of what Chris is putting on the table here is, potential trail system where I know you guys had
This is,
That's like closest to your house, the parking area?
this is no, across the street. This is at the high school, so
Oh,
this is the ballpark at the high school. So
Okay.
this is what used to be a orchard
Over here.
Yeah,
Piper's Orchard.
right down
Yeah.
there, yeah, right across the street.
Yeah, sure. That I know well.
Yep, and then it shoots across here, because this used to be the snowmobile trail, and then now it's in the woods right here.
Exactly. Gotcha. And I'm
Okay.
oriented. on
Yeah,
it.
that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Now,
So
if we were gonna extend,
before we go too far, I wanted to just get Hugh's thoughts because Chris had talked about a potential extension of this colored green,
yeah,
right? That might go down to town hall.
This is open, let's see, or you wanna sit over
Okay.
down?
no.
Going down.
Here,
Basically
so,
following the old snowmobile trail down to the town office.
so come down
This
here,
way.
go this way, hook up to the old snowmobile trail and go down to town hall. It used to go up and this way,
So you're talking the one over by, Rickshaw,
yeah.
Yeah.
that old trail. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, tell me the
So
story
the
behind that.
Root
trail.
property, Mr. Root purchased that, what we used to be called the old Pettingill pasture, which is now just a grown up little bit of woods. It was a pasture when you got past Fox's land and the soccer fields.
Yeah.
And then and then just past that pasture, which is grown up now, you have, the town office land and all that. So Mr. Root purchased it, has plans for his son to build a house and maybe another house or 2. So he told us he thought he was gonna ask us to cease
Find
use of
another
that
way.
property.
Right.
Chad's kind of renegotiated that in the past. John Johnson is now the trail master, but Chad at the time was trail master. And he's sort of negotiated a possibility of still using a fringe edge of it. But I think the key would be speaking to Mr. Roop and seeing if you're interested in using that. Would he be open to the idea and where on the property, so you get to where you're trying to get, would he allow passage to go across?
Yeah.
So that would be a new key over there.
That's super helpful to know. And do you know the property owner on the other side of that?
Which,
The one right next to the town office.
that, and then what the old, Weeping Willow property where the horses were, that I don't know the new name. Sorry to say.
Let me say the name and then you can.
Probably right on the,
It's Lindsay Allen and Jacob Kendall.
yeah, maybe I know him by face, but not by name.
Okay.
I used
Looks
to
like
be,
they
the-
purchased it in 2019-ish.
Is that they live on this road right?
Yeah, the address is
It's the one that,
30 Academy.
okay, I think they just did some work on the driveway and they might,
They
they have some elementary school kids maybe.
That was a Gail DiBiaso property for a long time.
Oh, was it?
Gail and Tom DiBiaso. Yeah,
Yeah, see, it's,
You're right.
it's been, yeah.
Shop.
I think the trail,
Yeah.
the trail probably comes out to their property. So if you go straight past the ball field on that hilltop, go straight past, and if you go through and bang a right, you go to that house. If you go left, you go to the quick shop.
Correct.
Okay, so they must know just a small corner of that.
Yeah,
It
that's,
just goes right along the edge.
Right, but we would miss that if we went in down below the ball field, wouldn't we?
it's the old,
Yeah.
the pet, the old
It's tough to
pasture stuff in
miss.
the last little bit goes from Academy to Maine. Can't think of the people that live in the house right across from the driveway of the highway department. The kid's name was Louis.
Louis Massey.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, okay.
so they own that little fringe there, and then all the rest to Main Street is pet and, what I call the old Pettingill pasture.
Yeah.
Root land now.
So let me, Emily Brown from the Recreational Trails Program. Actually, why don't we do our introductions
Now we can do
now?
our introduction.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you start?
All right, I'm Ken Ackley. I'm the connection for this committee to the Mama Select Board.
Chris Bryant.
Chuck. Collins.
And Cody? Garrett Peterson.
You were the master at Cottonwagon Trailblazers ATV and Snowmobile Club?
Sean Schultz, I work at the school.
Joel Blamstone, Chair of the Conservation Commission.
So
And
this
President
side,
of the Water Authority.
this side's the committee right here. So we would just, we've got some maps, sort of the area that, is that a set over there?
That's probably the handiest one.
Chris sort of picked it up.
Baseball fields, parking lot, high school. This would be down below the high school. We're talking about this trail primarily right now, green and yellow. Blue would just be, blue is mostly the grass, right? And then,
Blue was something that I had added for, because I wanted, when I was looking at this, I was looking at it for skiing or for
Yeah.
running, so
Yeah.
not for walking. And I wanted to add some elevation change.
Yeah.
And this would add a lot of elevation change up and down right there.
relative to skiing.
All of the rest of it is pretty. There's a gradual pitch. This would be some steepness. So the blue is not really part of what we're considering right now.
Really, the blue is just bush hogging.
Yeah.
It would just be,
Sort of
Yeah,
rough,
it
like
would,
a sort of a.
it's already, yeah, it's just open. I mean, there's
It's just
not
open.
much for trees in the way, it's just really tall grass and some dampness. Drainage ponds right now, drainage ditches that were put in for the school.
I'm a cross-country skier.
Yeah.
Dave's a mountain biker.
Right
So
here,
we have
that's nice
particular
spot.
interests there. But for this, we're looking more just general purpose.
And I'm on the HPA committee. So, yeah, so there's different perspectives on, I mean, I think what I said was, we are sort of looking at this sort of multi-use kind of thing, which would sort of allow for different sort of uses and abilities to use it and sort of reasonably sort of accessible, for folks. And then there's some possibility to sort of extend where it goes into the green and sort of cut back to 132.
Down here around the ball fields and then down to 132.
Gotcha.
Down to Main Street, which is kind of the goal, to have it accessible, have a purpose to take the trail. You can start on Main Street and then end up at school,
That
or
would be
start on
nice.
Main Street and do a loop and then come back to Main Street where you parked on.
Yeah.
There's a parking lot there,
Mm.
police station and the town office.
Where would you come in from Main Street?
Town office.
So you wouldn't do anything further down?
That's to look at. I did bush hog it, but we
We
didn't know what
talked
the water
about
district
Water
access.
district, using the water district road.
Like
so
over
we
by
need
the
to
old
get-
well road?
Yeah.
What we call the well road?
Yeah.
That Scott Emery owns now.
Right.
Okay, so we
But we
don't
need
do
to
that,
get
yeah.
the approval.
We had to get
from the
Scott's
landowner.
permission, yeah.
So,
Angela and Scott are pretty open to things, so unlike the previous owner, so you're even good there.
Or so there must be, no, there was somebody
Before
between there, wasn't
Leanne,
there?
Leanne was a little more restricted but open and worked with us. But people before were like taboo, don't come on our land. So it's,
Oh, yeah.
we're in pretty good shape now for access there.
And then down the road, if they do the development here on Guy Piper's land, trying to maybe tie something in there.
Absolutely.
But kind of using this as a starting point and then trying to expand
out
out
from there.
beyond, making this, I feel that we want this to be a very accessible property, trail. Most available for anyone of any ability. But then once we get away further, it might not be quite the same. There's also,
Motorized vehicles,
I don't expect.
we have the snowmobile trail. How about use of, would this, where's this fall, snowmobile trail usage in the summertime for walking or mountain biking? It depends on the landowner, right?
Depends on the landowner, they're all gonna be different.
Right, and this is mostly on RSU two, plus there's a couple of
Like Emery's Land
Emery's
or
or
Gray,
like the Rook's
Gray.
Corner. The corner that,
Roop's Corner.
That Roop owns, yeah.
Depending-
How do kids get their snowmobiles to school?
They come off the trail,
Which one?
the one that's on RSU too.
the one just below this green trail that's in the woods.
Right.
We can walk
It
it.
comes
We
like
can
right
walk it.
down along, it comes from up the water line here, and then it kind of comes right along the other side of this rock wall.
So
So this is a rock wall, right?
So Ian Fournier, the swim champion there that just graduated, he comes from Academy Road and comes in on that RSU two land, goes up to the school and then returns home. People coming from the south end would be coming up by the town garage and then crossing over.
That's
and
where,
putting
that's where my
parking.
boys go, yeah.
So there's a second snowmobile trail that's on the other side of this rock wall here?
There's a snowmobile trail right on the other side of this rock wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then where does it,
And then the other
how do
people
they
come
get,
in.
how do they get up to the school here? Cause I see them parking.
They go through they don't plow the ball field parking lot. So they go up through there. Well, actually, there's a trail.
The official trail goes right to the fairgrounds, right to
Right.
Compton Park. So they have to come right by the school complex and they just pull into the school.
They bang a right
Yeah.
at the parking lot entrance and park in the front yard, because they have to park in the front yard.
Right.
That's
So
right.
so there's almost like what I'm hearing you say is like there's a parallel system for motorized vehicles.
Right.
For the snow.
For the snow.
Yeah.
Snowmobile.
We,
I don't know, yeah.
we'd like to see, our dream's always been to have ATV use if someday possible, but we never had the numbers of people to step forward. They told us we're gonna do, that's why we officially engaged with the state of Maine and we are officially an ATV club. But not here in Monmouth. We had actually up to a mile or more of permissions at one point, more towards the north end of town. But we didn't have the workers step forward to make a system evolve. So it's just been, we travel out of town, use other people's trails, like Casco, wherever. So we are an ATV truck and we support ATV Maine and lobbyists and all that. But in town, we do not have approved ATV trails. If this organization looks at it as one of the many entities that we foresee getting involved with trails, then that would be awesome. Obviously, no matter what you use, equestrian, fat bikes, skiers, snowshoers, hikers, snowmobile, ATV, landowners are all very different.
Yep.
And, I'm one of the people that walks through the woods and hold the hand of the landowner and say, what were you allowed us to do here? Where do you want us to go? So a lot of the landowner relationship is what goes on in this perspective. But diplomats,
What we're looking at now is not snowmobile trail, right? This is just RSU two.
well, if you're RSU two trail, I thought you were talking about being on that trail right on the other side of the stone wall, which is currently a snowmobile. Or are you talking about
That's
being on
not
this side?
one. This is actually the
On the
old,
inside?
this is the old running trail.
Yeah, so I know, okay, so yeah, okay.
Yeah. But
But it's fine. It's,
And
there's a parallel.
especially if you're gonna go over to the Piper property, as Mr. Bryant alludes to, so.
Right. At
Why
that
would you
point,
wanna
we're gonna
use
need to
that?
figure out how it
Right.
doesn't really make sense to make
Right.
two separate trails.
No, I wouldn't see that.
I mean, more where I'm going with this is, so Emily's from the state of Maine, so she's evaluating this specific trail. So we're just kind of
Right.
focus it more for her
Okay.
time today,
Yeah.
to kind of see if it's worth it for the state of Maine to help and grants and stuff like that.
this is something that's.
Yeah, either where, and expanding from there is obviously part of it.
what would it take to make a snowmobile trail into a ATV trail?
Yeah, the state puts out a book, which I'm a big supporter of, and it actually tells you how to organize and direct trail construction and the whole process. My opinion, I'm gonna show you my view of ATV and around the state. A lot of people just punch a hole in the woods and drive, and they don't do it. For me, if we ever had good weather, motorized traffic, we would follow the state's plan by having fill and wood chips or whatever it is in the swampland area, not trying to, no mud, no running, all that. It takes money, time and effort to do that. So personally, I would never be an advocate of doing what they do elsewhere, just punching a hole in what they're doing. It leaves a mess, in my opinion. I might be the minority in that view, but I would hope that we would take a very proactive stance, because I think that's what's gonna keep the landowners happiest, low impact on their land. Seeing it.
You have the right use here for it. The big grant state money that's available to be able to make a service that's durable for all our uses.
That would be my vision, right? You described it right there.
And that's what you're talking about with, like golf cart usage around town sort of thing, or ATV usage around town, having that trail firmed up. And that's probably not these colored trails, it's probably more the snowmobile trail that we can walk today too, because that's cleaned up, so we can check them.
Yeah.
And they're right, you kind of have to get on one to get on the other anyway right now.
Well, I think it's also important to know that if we do it right, then we can sort of be the light for other property owners, like if they see how we're being responsible about trail construction and not just creating mess and creating, the least, the path of least resistance, then they're gonna be a lot more willing to say, okay, you can, if it's gonna look like that, then you can come on my property. A golf cart or an ATV.
Well, you just described you're actually two landowners, so to speak. It's epic, so you're gonna maybe educate her on your views here, which sound very constructive. And that turns into a positive way, and then Leslie's the advocate for you when she's at school with me, he's like, I'm working with a very responsible directed group that thinks can do the right thing. You gotta be a salesman and sell yourself, unfortunately.
When we, just kind of clarifying, if the state becomes involved in grants, any matching or whatever, if it's not necessarily town land, are there permissions that we need to have? I just want to clarify from the landowner, is it be deeded access before the state gets involved, or? is it permission?
Trying to think, if you're talking about like a private landowner.
Yeah.
We would need to see like some type of written permission, before we could.
But it's not deeded necessarily.
I think there were two different things.
Yeah.
One was the,
Is that the federal
one was the federal,
Okay.
sort of. I can't remember that.
disability, American ADA?
The land and sea program, like, so that one.
Two different, right?
Yeah, the two, and that one you needed the deeded access, and that was the problem with the Compton Hall. But a trail that the town was talking about, because there was a restriction on that and they couldn't give the deeded access. But the RTP, at least, when I talked to Doug, it sounded like what he said with the RTP program, what they need is an agreement.
Okay.
It's just an agreement that not a formal easement.
Like we have all our landowners with Snowmobile, we have over 100 written
Exactly,
permission slips that say we can do this or that.
exactly.
Okay,
Do you get them annually?
yes. It's a little laborious, but we do it it's like 104, 107 now. We're doing it.
So I think, I was thinking maybe we could go out and look at it, right?
That'd be great.
And I don't know what the best way. Just walk over there. Is it possible? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can walk the loop. So before we break up, I did want to say, and this is just so that it's on the record. There was a conversation about exploring additional sidewalk replacement downtown. So the one that goes along Pleasant Street, potentially closing the loop between the corner of Pleasant Street and Gray Mill. And Maple, just so that there's a loop of sidewalks down there.
Yeah.
That was a conversation very beginning.
I heard about it, yeah.
But a conversation that was mentioned. Or Wednesday night at this level.
Great, thanks. All right, so we're gonna adjourn the meeting. So
Do we need to talk about anything for the agenda next time? Do we have any particular things, or do we? Can we?
well, why don't we come back, let's come back and we could sort of reconvene and just sort of wrap some things up and
Okay, I have to run a 10 o'clock ferry, just FYI.
okay.
You're 5 minutes out.
That means I need to skedaddle by 9:45.
Okay, all right, let's get rocking. It's
Which ones you got? You got a copy of everything or?
Oh, she says everything. Can I have a color coded?
You want one of these?
I have one of those. I just gave my other one to,
What do you want?
the one with the green and orange and yeah, that one. Thank you.
I'm wondering if we should,
Or you
for the
can,
next meeting,
I have no idea, so I said.
we should talk about the trails.
I think so. I think so.
Only how we're doing, or what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And that or not. I'll take it. It is.
Yes.
This one's actually generated.
Do we need to?
It just told what each of the colors meant. But it's not really.
Okay.
I'll put it in my
stuff.
glasses, right?
Yeah. Keep in mind. I'm gonna leave my stuff here.